about that. Just getting my audio equipment ready. That's the quickest start to a presser I've seen. Well done, Chris.
Let's
Congratu-
go.
Congratulations on the extension. Just I'm kind of curious, man, where you're at now. And by that, that's a broad question on purpose. You've had a child. I think you've turned 30 years old. You have obviously a knee rehab that you've been going through. Like, what's life been like for Chris Streveler?
It's been amazing. It's been busy. It's been exhausting. It's been all good things. All the things you named, on top of trying to grow my quarterback business out here in Arizona, which has been growing a lot and been busy, which is amazing. So it's been great, man. So many different facets of my life that I'm just trying to attack head on, right? Being a dad, moving into that phase of life, attacking this knee rehab as hard as I can. And you guys know that mindset I'm coming at that with. And then, like I said, grow my business, pouring into these kids and helping them get better. It's all been very exciting. And, this is just another piece of that puzzle that I'm extremely excited to keep playing, man. It really is a blessing to be able to play this game at this up into this point in my career. And I remember when I first got into that locker room as a rookie and seeing Matt Nichols and thinking, oh man, this guy's in his 30s. Like, imagine if I could play till I'm 30, and to be able to do that is something that I'm proud of and was definitely a goal of mine when I started. So I'm excited to keep stacking.
With this one question follow up, I'm going to jump a little bit here. I got the start here, but I want to I think I know why you're back in Winnipeg. Obviously, your experience here, your reputation here, you're a fan favorite. But I'm curious from the football perspective side of things. A guy who, I guess the question is, what opportunity do you see here in Winnipeg this season for you? Obviously, with Zach potentially, having one more year left on his deal. Who knows? He'll probably contemplate retirement after this season. Also, though, your usage last year, right? With Buck Pierce no longer the OC. What does that mean with Jason Hogan? Like, I'm looking at, maybe I'm acting like your agent a little bit here, Chris. In that, like, what opportunities do you feel like you're going to get in Winnipeg? Like, I think a lot of people thought that the 2019 Chris Streveler was going to show up in 2024. And while, obviously your year was cut short with the knee, we never really saw that, that hard bruising style package that, everyone thought Chris Streveler would get. And then you got injured labor, Banjo Bowl. So, I'm wondering what you think is on the horizon for you as far as opportunity in Winnipeg. Sorry about the long-winded
No,
question.
no, you're good. Yeah, you're acting like my agent. You're asking all the questions I asked myself because I did my own deal. So, I asked all these questions and I agree with you, man. That was kind of my expectation. And, things happened last year where it just, didn't work out the way that I think anyone envisioned it would on a lot of different fronts. Personally, for me as a team, I just didn't play out the way we thought it would. So I asked all those questions. I've had some really good discussions with people. Um, specifically within the Bombers, man. Like, I'm really excited about Hogan taking over. Like, I've had some good conversations with him. He brings good energy, and I know he has respect for who I am as a person and a player and a leader and what I can bring to a team. So I felt really, really excited about those conversations I had with him. And that's a big reason why I came back. Had I not had those conversations with someone and felt excited, it would have probably been a different conversation, right? So very excited about that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just about winning games, man. So, but I know I can help the team win games. So, whatever that looks like, whatever I can do to help us get W's on the board, that's all I care about at this stage of my career. It's not about anything other than just trying to chase rings and win championships. So, that's what I'm coming back to help us do. And I think we're going to build this thing out through camp and through the season. I think there's going to be a role to be played to help us do that.
Right on. Thanks, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, you can go ahead.
Just to follow up a bit on what Jeff was asking you, Chris. Congrats, by the way. Congrats on the new deal. Good to have you back.
Thanks, man.
Buck was your guy too in 19, right? When we saw those packages, and has been the guy right through here. So, can you take us inside at all? Like Jeff, I was surprised, and we had some conversations, like in the press box, about, boy, we thought we would have seen more of you by now in packages. Can you take us into how that went, or do you never raise that during the season? Are there no talks about, hey, can I get a little more? Can you share anything like that, or no?
I mean, like I love Buck, man, and that was,
I know.
I have a great relationship with Buck. he wasn't calling the plays in 2019. That was Lapo.
Good point.
So it was different. But at the same time, cut from the same cloth. And I don't really know why things went the way they went, to be honest with you. All I can tell you from my perspective is, you know, I broke a rib in the Ottawa game when I started, and maybe that kind of hurt things a little bit. And it was being a little bit limited moving forward. I was fine. I didn't miss any time, didn't miss any games. So, maybe that played into it, but couldn't really give you a great answer as to why things went the way they went. And that's why I needed to have those conversations going into free agency and talking to the Bombers and talking to other teams, just figuring out, okay, where do I fit into the puzzle of this league and what I see my role being and how can I help a team, because I agree with everything you're saying, Jeff, in terms of, I thought, I think that there's definitely a role if I'm not starting to do what we did in 2018 and 19 and give a change of pace and add a different element. And I know I can still do that. And so, I can't really give you a great answer. I can just give you my perspective on things. And ultimately, just the last thing I'll say about that is I'm big on just controlling what you can control. So whether there's ever frustration on my end about anything, I will never bring that into a locker room. I'll never ever have that disrupt a team. And I will always just go about my work because I believe that if you just work hard, put your head down and treat people right, good things are going to happen for you. So that will never affect the way that I go about my work. And I'm hoping that I have the opportunity to help this team win games this year. And I know I will.
Yep, understood. That's the pro
Yeah.
you are. Uh, one quick follow up. Can you give fans a bit of a tease in your conversations with Jason? Will we see more of Chris Streveler, do you think?
It's early, man. Like I'm
It
calling
is.
this dude. He just found out he got the job like a day earlier, so it was all very fresh. But I just needed to have that conversation with him and just get his perspective. And,
Yep.
I think his style of play when he was a player back in his heyday, it was somewhat, runner type of guy, can make some different plays, do some different things. So I think he kind of respects that aspect of my game. And
Mm.
so there haven't been any specifics drawn out, and that's all going to play out through camp and as the season begins and everything like that. So even if I wanted to give you specifics, I really couldn't. So it's
Of
all
course
so
not.
fresh. And I'm
Yeah.
just excited to get back up there around Hogs, build that relationship with him. I know he's going to bring fresh energy, fresh ideas. And I'm excited to get to work with him.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah.
John?
Thanks for doing this, Chris. Congrats on the child and congrats on the deal.
Thanks,
Um,
man.
I wanted to ask you about the window. Obviously, you've re-signed with Winnipeg, but can you tell us how much interest there was from other teams? Did it get close with any other teams potentially coming to an agreement? How was that process for you?
There was definitely interest. Had a couple good conversations, a couple other deals that were floated around. I really just needed to do my due diligence. And being my own agent, it's like, okay, I'm coming off a knee injury. Last year didn't go the way that I think anyone anticipated. So I need to get out there and figure out, okay, what's my value? What do teams see of me? What do the opportunities look like? Especially with, Buck leaving and us not having an offensive coordinator for a period of time. Like I just felt like I needed to have those conversations and just figure out what everything looks like and just make sure that everything made sense. Ultimately, with all that being said, like we all know the place that Winnipeg holds in my heart, right? Like I love these people. I love and respect the hell out of Osh. So that's where my heart lies. But from a business standpoint, you got to have those conversations just to figure out, okay, is this a good deal? Where do I sit in the league? Like, what are opportunities looking like? And so I just needed to go have those conversations and take those as far as they're willing to go. And I'm personally extremely happy with the way things worked out, getting to come back to Winnipeg, a place where I know there's a lot of love for me. I got a lot of love for the people in the city, and it's going to be exciting.
Not expecting you to give us, the exact dollar figure, but could you tell us if this deal you have for 2025, is it more than you made in 24? Is it a little bit less? Is it about the same? Can you ballpark it for us?
I'm happy with where I'm at, man. It makes sense for me to bring my family up. It makes sense for me to go out there and put my body on the line and keep doing that the way that I play the game. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That's where I needed to be. I got to a point where I felt comfortable, again, moving my family up here. We own a house in Arizona, leaving all that behind, bringing the kid up, bringing the dog. It just needed to get to a point like that, and it did, and I'm extremely happy. And I'm excited, man, from financially to the opportunities on the field to being in a place that I love. It honestly couldn't have worked out any better. And I'm just extremely excited to get this thing rolling. And this is even more motivation, man. Like going through this rehab, there's times when it's not easy. It's like you're in a gym by yourself with your PT, doing work, but that's all intrinsic, man. There's no fans cheering for you. There's nobody patting you on your back, but like knowing training camp's coming in 3 months, the day this injury happened, my mind was I got to be ready by May. And that's what I'm on track to do. And this is the extra fire that I need, in my ass, so to speak, to get me going and be ready by May.
I'll just go one more if that's okay with Jeff and Paul.
Yeah.
I wanted to, yeah, thanks, Freeze. I know. I just wanted to ask about the competition. Last year it was you, Zach, and a couple of rookies. The club's already got Jake Dolegala under contract. Obviously, Terry's going in a year two. I'm not expecting you to comment on Shea Patterson because that's not official yet. That's just reported. But by all accounts, it looks like this team's going to have more competition in camp in 25 than it did in 24. How do you feel about that, and how are you approaching that?
That's great, man. I'm of the mindset that competition makes everyone better. So the more people we got in a room, the more guys we got pushing each other to be better and bouncing ideas around. I love that in a room. Like, dude, I've been a professional quarterback for 8 years. If I was nervous about competition or worried about having to compete, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I would have never made it out of year one. This is the world we live in. It's a dog eat dog world, and you go out there, you compete, you earn what you get. There's nothing handed to you. That's always my mindset. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have more guys, fresh ideas in the room, and build relationships with people. I'm big on building relationships and talking to other people, seeing what their process is like. So I'm excited to have a nice full room of guys with experience, with fresh ideas, and it's gonna be exciting.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Jeff, you can go ahead if you have a follow-up.
Yeah. Chris, just I we were remiss, I think, if we didn't ask about maybe some of the changes on the roster. I think a lot of people were shocked, obviously, by the release of Drew Wolitarsky. I imagine no one more than yourself, being as close of friends as you are with him. Just thoughts on that and on his departure and ultimately what looks to be like a very different locker room next year. And you say that because even while you were gone, you came back to a lot of familiar faces from that championship team. It looks like this might be the biggest turnover in any years since the start of this winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of that, the new locker room, it's again, I just keep looking at it from the perspective of, hey, we got fresh energy. We got new guys coming in, guys bringing new ideas, fresh energy, fresh juice. Like sometimes that stuff's needed, man. You go to 5 straight cups and you lose three, like that's hard. And you need some fresh juice in there to bring a fresh perspective because it can't just be the same thing over and over again, right? Like it's hard to do, man. It's hard to go to five. So I think that that's okay, but I do think that we have a good amount of leaders and veterans in that locker room that are going to guide new guys and show them the standard that's Winnipeg Blue Bombers football. So I don't think it's a total overhaul. There's a lot of new guys, but there's enough guys to kind of pull dudes along and say, hey, this is the standard. This is what FIFO means. This is how we go about our business, and we're going to handle business. And so I think that that's important. And then, just to bring up Wally, like, oh, I can't sugarcoat, man. It's very disappointing. Very hard for me. And knowing what he's got on his plate with a family and everything like that, it was definitely, it's scary when you get that call that you're getting cut. And I'm honestly thankful that I've been through that situation so many times because I was able to give him some perspective on what that might look like for him afterwards. Like, I think I was one of the first calls. And, you stay in football long enough, man, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter how long you've been with a team. 90% of the time you're going to get got. And so how do you mentally bounce back from that? How do you figure out what the next move is, And so I'm thankful for the experiences I had been through in the NFL with getting cut so many times and having to bounce back from that and what that looked like for me and just being able to give some of that perspective and guide him through that. Do I wish he was still on the team? Yeah, absolutely, man. That's like my best friend. So of course, but business is business and it's not my decision to make. I think he's going to be missed from a leadership perspective just as much as anything he contributed on the field. And like I said, man, that's one of my best friends, but ultimately this train keeps rolling with or without us. So, you keep playing football, you get your head down, and we've already got a jersey swap scheduled for the first time we play Hamilton. So that'll be kind of fun to be on the opposite side of him.
Right on, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Paul, you can go.
Yeah, just to kind of follow up on that too. On a human level, you talked well about Wally, and then on the football level, maybe as a friend too, Kenny Lawler. I mean, how big a loss is that?
It's hard, man. And these are people that are not only great football players, but just good people, man. And I remember having conversations with Kenny last year, having left and come back 5 years later, seeing him in 2019, and just being like, okay, this is young Kenny Lawler. And then coming back last year and seeing his growth as a person, as a dad, as a player, as a leader. I had a couple conversations with him. I was just like, bro, I really just I see your growth as a person and in life and as a leader and how you carry yourself. And it's so different than you were in 19. And it's just amazing to see. And so, like, guys like that, it's hard when they leave a locker room because there's holes in leadership. For me personally, I look at it as an opportunity to continue to step up and grow as a leader and guide new guys along and show them what it means to be a pro. But it always hurts when you lose guys like that are players of that caliber and people of that caliber. But at the end of the day, man, I got so much love for those dudes. They know this is bigger than ball. This is life. These are bonds that we have for life. And I will always be rooting for those dudes no matter what. And, one thing about being in this game for a long time is you learn to root for your friends to do well and the guys that you've been in the locker room with. And, I still take that approach with the NFL. People always ask me, oh, what's your favorite team? And I'm like, dude, I just want all my friends to go play well. I want them to all make money. I don't really care about the teams. I want my friends to go do well. And obviously I want the Bombers to win every single game. If Kenny catches 2 touchdowns and the Bombers win the game, hey, I'm okay with that. I'm happy he plays well. So that's my mindset. And I'm always rooting for those guys. They know I love them. I told them that privately. I'll tell them that publicly. So it's all love. And I just want them to go ball and do their thing.
Hey, how does the fact the Grey Cup is in Winnipeg this year, how does that sit with players, or is that not a factor?
I think it's exciting. Especially, given the status of the roster of guys getting up, some guys getting up there in age, and where do things land? Like, let's have the Grey Cup at home. I'm sure the fans will be excited, and obviously there's a ton of work to be put in before that, but the idea of that is very exciting. So, like I said, lots of work to be put in before that, but we all know that's a thing. We're not going to act like we don't know it's a thing.
Yeah. And you're a dad for the first time, is that right?
Yep.
Wow, cool. Congrats.
Yeah.
What's the name? And
her name is Sunny, and she was born on January 15th. So we're almost coming up on a month, and it's been awesome, man. I got to give a shout out to my girlfriend Taylor. She's been doing an amazing job, and I'm working training quarterbacks, and I'm gone all day. I'm doing my own rehab, doing my own training, then I'm training kids, and she's holding down the fort. And I'm so thankful to have her, and just the qualities that she has as a person and the values, and just seeing her get to raise our daughter and do that together has just brought us even closer. And it's just been the most amazing experience. No matter what goes on in your day, you come home, you see that little chicken nugget just smiling at you, just all, looking at you. Just hits different, man. It puts things into perspective. So I'm extremely thankful.
Sunny as in the day behind you there and here too?
Sunny as in the day behind me. Yep, Sunny. And then her middle name's Levon, which is my girlfriend's middle name. And then obviously Streveler. So exciting. Yeah.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Ed, you can go ahead.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, Ed? Good to see you, man.
See you too. Congrats on all kinds of levels there. Lots of good questions have already been asked. I just wanted to check in if you could recap what did you do to your knee in that game, and where you mentioned that you want to be back by May. Maybe give us a little bit of a hint as to all the work you've done. I've seen the stuff on Instagram, but what did you do to the knee, and where are you at in that?
Yeah, so I tore complete tear of the ACL and the MCL, and then I had a significant tear of the PCL as well. So a significant injury. Luckily, I just needed surgery on the ACL and the MCL. The PCL was not. It was significant, but it's able to be repaired on its own because it gets blood flow. So significant injury, but in terms of what I've been doing, man, I have been attacking this thing since day one, dude. Like been hitting a hyperbaric chamber in Winnipeg, like right after surgery, trying to heal incisions, doing everything in the training room, doing the blood flow restriction, the BFR, Got my own little personal stim machine where I do workouts with those people all the time, just working on muscle activation and, excuse me, trying to prevent some of that atrophy that happens after surgery. And then I'm doing physical therapy 3 times a week, which is essentially just workouts now. Like today, I did like 5 sets of squats. I'm doing leg extensions. I'm doing sled pushes, Bulgarians. Like if you saw me working out, you wouldn't know that anything was wrong. I'm throwing 3, 4, 5 times a week. So I'm putting in a ton of work. And I got my sauna here. I got my pool. I'm getting in that. I mean, really anything you can do to make this happen, I'm doing it. So when this originally happened, I think the thought was, okay, September, middle of September's surgery, maybe you'll be back by August, September. You know how I'm built, man. I was just like, nah, come on. I'm going to be back by May. And I feel like I've been ahead of schedule this entire time. And that's my mindset. And I'm working every day with that in mind. And honestly, the need didn't even really come up in contract discussions. Everything, all the communication between my physical therapist and Al and everybody has been nothing but this dude's going to be on track to be ready by May. And I see no reason why that isn't true. I'm jumping, I'm running, I'm throwing, like, it's very close. So I'm excited. That's how I'm working. And I'm such a believer of just like a positive mindset, and the work you put in will pay off. And so although there were some disappointing times when it first initially happened, I was able to switch my mind and just attack this rehab the way I attack my life and anything else. And I believe a big part of that is a reason why it's been positive results.
Well, just one follow to that, Chris. You know, it's one thing to rehab to get healthy again for, for your daughter and everything, just for life. But what's pushing you beyond that? Is it stuff that you want to still get done in football? Is it the desire to still play? What's fueling that beyond the just getting healthy again?
There's a few things. That's a good question. Like, well, obviously being like having a daughter and being able to move around and do the things I need to do is important. There's another piece of me that's always just like, I can't turn it off. Like everything I do, I'm going as hard as I can. And there's just a part of me that's like, I want to reach my potential as a person. And that to do that, you have to work as hard as you can every day. And, that's how I attack my off season. I'm up early, I'm doing everything I can. And, obviously from a football standpoint too, it's like, I want to show that I can overcome this and be what I know I can be. And with the disappointment of how things went last year, like it's important to me that I can show that I can come back and play at a high level. And the other thing with that too is like I'm always looking for the positives from any situation. And like after this happened, one of the quarterbacks that I trained, his mom hit me up and was like, "Hey, his name's Jax. Jax has tore his ACL too." And so for me, like part of this process for me is like showing these kids, like showing them what it looks like to attack something like this and have a positive mindset and work hard, and showing them that you can come back and be better than before. And so that's part of my motivation too, is like, I want to be the best for myself. I want to be the best for my teammates, but I have kids that are looking up to me now and look to me as a role model. And that really motivates me to continue to work hard and set a good precedent for them and show them that, hey, if you work hard and are positive and are good to people and do the right things, you can get wherever you want to get and overcome anything. So there's so many motivating factors for me. Like it's not hard for me to work hard. That's just what I like to do, man.
Right on. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed.